Well, it is time for my favorite show we do all week, buddy. It is the show where you, the listener, do all of the show prep and work for us.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to a Tuesday afternoon mailbag, or I guess a Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday
There we
afternoon is the
go.
way that it goes.
All right. Final question of the day comes in from Marcus G on YouTube. And
The
I
boy.
can't tell you how much I loved this comment. Uh, so Marcus G says, keep up the great content, guys. We'll make a really tough off season just fly by. By the way, question for the hashtag mailbag. I think when looking at payroll calculus, we consider Ryu dead money, counting against the projected payroll, but not delivering any value in 2023. Okay, so far, there's nothing spectacular about this comment. This is things we all knew. However, most teams have injury insurance. So likely the Toronto Blue Jays, will be recouping a large portion of his 2023 salary. Will that be plowed back into the team, in brackets, which it should be since the team isn't close to the luxury tax, or conveniently pocketed by ownership since fans won't know the difference and will likely forget about it? Laugh, cry emoji. So I love this comment for
Me
a
too,
few
buddy.
reasons. Anytime I have to do research, I'm usually annoyed. I had to do research for this, but the research was interesting. I did find some real stuff here about insurance policies and how those work. Turns out Marcus is 100% correct. I don't have confirmation on whether the Blue Jays specifically have insurance specifically on the Ryu contract. I can't confirm that. It is likely, and from what I've found online, it is probable the Blue Jays do have insurance on this Ryu contract. So I looked into it. Here's this article from the Washington Post. This is published from 2016, and this is related to Steven Strasburg, specifically with the Washington Nationals, but the details here within do apply to this situation. So basically, it is up to clubs privately to insure contracts of their players. What does an insurance policy cost? Looks like pitchers do cost more. If I can just find this here. The rough estimate for a positional player was, I believe,
4%, right?
yeah, I thought it was 2. Now I've lost track. It's 3% for the contract of a position player and 7% for a pitcher. So the other thing to consider is a player needs to usually miss around 60 days in order for to cash in on an insurance policy. And even then, the club would generally only get back between 60 and 80% of that player's salary. So
let's break that down then. Go ahead,
Ryu.
There's almost no way Hyun-jin. Exactly. Well, there's almost no way Hyun-jin Ryu was not insured. He had injury problems in the past. He struggled staying on the field with the Dodgers despite dominating his first season with the Blue Jays. Cy Young votes. He finished third in 2020 in Cy Young votes. Like, the guy can pitch, but he has had arm injuries in the past. So there's almost 0% chance.
And he was like 33 when the Blue Jays signed him. So
this is a prime candidate to insure.
Exactly.
So $20 million. Let's say it's even just 60%, but I bet you I bet you for Tommy John, he misses the full season, and on top of that, I bet they get the full 80%, but let's say it is.
Let's play it safe.
60.
Let's go 60%.
That's $12 million.
Again, at 7% for a policy cost, that's about $1.5 million on a $20 million contract. Although they probably would have had to do it for the entire amount of $80 million. So what's 80 times 0.07 gets us $5.6 million to insure the entire $80 million contract. They probably did that. So would they recoup $12 million next year? Probably. Have they already probably recouped $12 million for this year? Probably.
Good point.
Right? So that's actually $24 million. Again, on the conservative side, this is with a 60% payout estimate, right? So we're looking at...
They're paying for Yusei Kikuchi with Ryu's insurance money.
Basically, yeah. I mean, that's a great way to look at it. So here's another good point that Marcus made, is that injury dollars do count towards a team's total
payroll
cap hit, if you will, right? The number that builds towards the luxury tax. So the 20 million last year was included in our number. The 20 million this year is included in our number. So when the typical sports fan looks into what is the Blue Jays payroll for 2023, they're going to see 150 million roughly, right? But that's not the net cost of what ownership is putting into it. So this is a really good point. I think that there's going to be an extra $20 million, let's just say, between last year's insurance policy and this year's insurance policy that should be spent. There's no reason
I
it
was
shouldn't
just going to
be.
say, which if you're going to do the math on that and the Blue Jays payroll sat at 183 this year, they should frickin' hit 200 next year, and that won't even be an actual increase.
It won't be. And here's the other thing too, is this is the final year of the Ryu contract, 2023. He's a free agent after this. So there's no reason, if we expect him to miss the entire season, which again, coming off of Tommy John for the second time, being older, likely, he's going to miss a good chunk of time.
I mean, it looks like he might line up to return in September, but even then, I wouldn't want to see it.
Right? Okay, so, yeah, for whatever that's worth. This, to me, I think is a real good reason to go out and sign another 3 or 4 year deal for a good to above good starting pitcher, right? There is the money available.
Here, Adam.
No, here, Marcus. Marcus, this is a great comment.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
A factor I hadn't really considered. Not thrilled I had to do research with my morning coffee this morning, but hey, sometimes you learn something, and this is one of those days. So appreciate the intelligent comment from Marcus, and it makes a really great point that this team should absolutely at least be spending $20 million per year in free agency this offseason.
I would agree.
So there you go.
It's so funny how the inner workings behind the scenes we forget about, like insurance. Of course, these frickin' guys are insured. Of course they are. But
billionaires protecting their billions, man.
Yeah. We really appreciate all of you within the walk-off community. This thing continues to grow and become an animal of its own. It's a little bit overwhelming, but honestly, we love talking Blue Jays baseball and all the interaction that you folks are involved with us. Thank you so much. Discord, feel free to join it. That is always free. The link is in the show notes. You can follow us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. And if you are watching on YouTube currently and you're not subscribed, we'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. All the best, everybody. Cheers.